During this 4-game losing streak, the joy has been gone. Here at the Kaseya Center, it is back. And so are, at least for the night, the Orlando Magic. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is January 28th. It will probably be January 29th, 2026 by the time this publishes. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic come here to the Kaseya Center and take care of business for the first time in a long time, defeating the Miami Heat 133-124 in a game that just felt genuinely like Orlando Magic basketball. We'll talk about how the Magic got their joy back today and maybe a little bit of that swagger to right the ship. Get to that, plus Jonathan Isaac's big impact and some very deserved love for Paolo Banchero. We're going to get to all that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies, our everydayers who listen 5 days a week, who listen on the weekends when we do weekend episodes, who make us part of your daily podcast rotation, make us your first listen of the day, who are part of our Everydayer Club. We want to thank you for making the Locked On Magic community so great, and we want to thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network. It's your team every day. This has been the ultimate question about the Orlando Magic over the last month and a half, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. How do you define Orlando Magic basketball? For most of Jamal Mosley's tenure, that has been about their intense defense, their hounding, turnover-forcing defense. It has been about their ability to get out in transition increasingly. It's been about this energy and this ability to pound the ball, get to the paint, get to the basket. It has been about so many things that this team has not completely exemplified for, again, much of the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. There's one more thing that it's about. There's one more thing that defines Magic basketball, and that is joy. That is this unbridled enthusiasm. One of the things that I've noticed just sitting in with the Magic groups that I sit in with is even among fans, there is a joy. There's been a, oh boy, it's another game day. It's another Magic game. There's been a lack of excitement about this team. And granted, like the way the Magic have played for, again, the last 6 weeks, certainly the last week, last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, I completely understand that. I had a lot of people say I'm tuning out for a little bit. It's been a rough watch, and I grant you that it has been. That's how fans are feeling. What also matters is how the team feels and the energy and enthusiasm the team brings to the table. Mo Wagner told us in the locker room after Thursday's game that he sensed that something was missing. He sensed that there was just, they weren't playing with the same swagger that they played with. And before we even get into this game, like this is as important a point as anything else. The Magic are a team that thrives and draws energy off of each other, off of the crowd. They are a team that desperately needs to feel joy when they play. When they play angry, when they play depressed, when they play without that energy, they are not good enough. They have the talent. They are good enough, but that's not this team's character and identity. And so the last few weeks have been all frustration. The last few weeks have been the Magic falling short of not only their standards, but falling short of the character and identity that defines this team. And so the first thing to say, the first thing to notice about the way the Magic played on Wednesday night here at the Kaseya Center in Miami, the first thing to say is they played with joy. Like, look, you have to earn some of the antics the Magic do. Jalen Suggs is going to celebrate and yam it up after every made basket because that's who Jalen Suggs is. But you can't do that when you're down 20. You got to be up. You got to be playing. You got to be in the game. And so one of the key plays in this game, the Magic go on a 10-0 run in the fourth quarter. And Jalen Suggs sees Jalen Waddle, who's introduced to the crowd here at the Kaseya Center, and he gave Jalen Waddle the Jalen Waddle. He gave him the Waddle. Shout out to Locked On Dolphins. That is part of what the joy of this team is. When they're feeling good, they're playing good, they celebrate. They act like kids because guess what? These are still kids. They're they're fifth youngest team in the league. That joy is part of who they are. That celebration is part of who they are. Now, you can't do that if you don't earn it because joy also comes from playing hard, from playing with intensity, from getting out and getting steals and defending and making all the energy plays that define success for the Magic, that define success for this team. That is part of who the Magic are. And for the first time in what feels like weeks, we saw that play out. We saw the Magic get out and get steals. We saw the Magic get out and transition. We saw them attack the paint. 18 fast break points, 20 second chance points, outscore them 20-10, 62 points in the paint, including 26, I believe, in the first quarter. The Magic were aggressive from the start. They were the aggressors. They were the more physical team throughout the entire game. They dictated the terms of Miami except for the second quarter. And that's how Orlando built a lead, rebuilt a lead, came back from a deficit, and then put the hammer down in the fourth quarter. Joy comes from playing well, obviously, but something that's been missing from the Magic has been this resilience, this irrational confidence of invincibility, this poise, this calm. This joy is not just about the celebrations and being young and doing all that stuff. This joy is where their poise comes from, because when they're down, when they're not feeling it, they're slow. They're not playing with a lot of energy. This is where their energy comes from. And so, look, we'll get into the stats. We'll get into how this game developed. We'll get into who stepped up. We'll get into Paolo Banchero's big finish. But the first place we got to start is with this team's identity. That has been the question that we've been asking them. That is the question this team has been asking themselves. The part of the soul searching going on with this team is they are trying to find who they are. They're trying to find what they can hang their hat on. They're trying to find what they can rely on. They're trying to find what brings them energy. And they found all of it in this game. They found that defense, forcing 18 turnovers for 24 points. They found it in getting to the basket and scoring, and having players they could rely on to get them through, to get them points, to get them, to carry them through the tough times, through the rough times in this game. I said this after the two Cleveland games, and the Magic acknowledged it. Like, we were playing better, even though we lost to Cleveland in both those games. We were playing better. They sensed they were about to come through. And this was, as Jamal Mosley put it after the game, this was all the hard work, all the hard work, all the doing the right things, finally rewarding them. Now, of course, it's one game. You got to do it again. You got to do it on Friday, big game against Toronto. You got to do it on Sunday against a very good San Antonio team. You got to do it on Tuesday against a very good Oklahoma City team. You got to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. One win relieves the pressure, and the Magic were feeling that pressure, and they responded to it. They were not going to lose a fifth straight game. They came out and made sure that didn't happen. And even though there were some shaky moments, they overcame them in a way that they haven't the last few weeks. And so this could be a turning point. You won't know until the next game. But the Magic, for a brief bit, seemed to find themselves. And at least that's a start. It wasn't just the joy that got the Magic to victory. It was some key coaching decisions, including one turning to Jonathan Isaac. We'll talk about Jonathan Isaac's classic game coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2 self-employment forms and work to get you every deduction. It's a huge time saver and it gives you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. We are almost officially a week away from the NBA trade deadline. Next Thursday, it's basically here. And we want to give you a free month of our new Everydayer Club to help you get ready. If you need a group chat to keep up with chaos, join ours. The Everydayer Club gets you access to a group chat on Discord just for Magic fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league. I'm usually in there. I take questions everywhere, but I'm usually in there. And during games like tonight's game, you get my 3 thoughts between every quarter on what's going on that does not go up on my public feed. So that is exclusive to my Discord server. You also get ad-free versions of the show. And if you sign up by the trade deadline on February 5th, you can use code DEADLINE to get your first month free. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more or visit Orlando Magic or lockedonmagic.supercast.com. There's a lot of noise around the Orlando Magic right now. And we are going to talk a little bit about that noise tomorrow. We talk about that noise a ton, but a lot of the noise centers on Paolo Banchero. A lot of the noise, or not on Paolo Banchero, it centers on Jamal Mosley. It centers on Paolo Banchero too, and we'll talk about Paolo Banchero a little bit tomorrow too. But a lot of the noise centers on Jamal Mosley. Obviously, there is the questions about his job security, and look, the Magic's record is not where it needs to be. Magic have survived not going below 500. They climb into the tie with Miami for 7th. They own a 4-0 season series lead over the Heat with one more game to go. They've won 6 against the Heat this season, including preseason. It's wild. The Magic have a lot of questions swirling around them. And so we need to acknowledge when those questions get answered. When Jamal Mosley makes the right decision, when he does something good, and when he pulls the right button and pushes the right lever. Pushes the right button, pulls the lever. You get what I'm saying. And tonight, that decision was playing Jonathan Isaac. Now, it was clear Jonathan Isaac was making an impact when he got thrown into the game late against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, we'll get to the box score. I have something to say in the box score, but this was a classic Jonathan Isaac game. And it has been a while since we've seen like a classic Jonathan Isaac game. A game where J.I. just demolishes everyone on defense. Just is so unstoppable and is so difficult to get around that it changes the game. I would argue to people, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't disagree, but I would argue that Jonathan Isaac's defense has been pretty good. The problem is with how much he struggles on offense, pretty good's not good enough to play Jonathan Isaac. He needs to be elite. That is part of the deal with Jonathan Isaac. Tonight, he was elite. Tonight, he was truly someone who changed the game. He probably should have finished the game. If I have a nit to pick with Jamal Mosley, this was not Wendell Carter's game. Finishing and closing with Jonathan Isaac would have been my choice. In 16:47, he scored only 4 points, but he blocked 2 shots, 2 steals, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Just truly transformed this game. So say what you want to say. Say what you want to say about it. He was a dominant figure for the Magic. He was someone who, again, just changed the energy of this game, played with the intensity that you need. And look, Orlando's going to need players off their bench. That the bench has really, really struggled. You know, Tristan da Silva had 12 points in this game. No one else off the bench scored more than 10. No one else off the bench scored more than 5. Tyus Jones had 5. We'll get to his game in a minute. Tyus is playing some pretty good basketball right now. I'm not just saying that because he's like down there in the front row as the team gets ready to leave the arena. This is what the Magic need. They need these role players to step up and to give them just that little bit. This was not the only decision that Jamal Mosley made that was impactful. Orlando had a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. Looked like they were about to pull away. They led by as much as 17 in this game. Looked like they were about to pull away. And then Miami cut the lead in half, got it down to 6. So Jamal Mosley calls a timeout, about 8.5 minutes left in the game. Calls a timeout. Looked like he was going to keep the same group in, but instead he comes back with Paolo Banchero and Anthony Black. Orlando comes out of that timeout and burns off a 10-0 run, goes up 17 points at that point. I know math is wrong, but you get where I'm going. Go up by 17 points, thanks to shots from Jalen Suggs, thanks to shots from Desmond Bane, thanks to shots from Paolo Banchero. That is where the joy was present. Because that's when Jalen Suggs did the Jalen Waddle. That's when he danced on the Miami Heat. This is what it takes. And so Mosley rolled the dice a little bit, said, I'm going to go with my starters a little bit longer because we need this win. I can't wait. I'm going to put my best players in. We're going to close this game. And for the first time since the NBA Cup game against the Miami Heat, the Magic won a non-clutch game. Like, think about that. The Magic won a non-clutch game for the first time since early December against this same Miami Heat team in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. It's been a while since we didn't have to stress through a late game. And guess what? We did kind of have to stress through this one because the Magic are not perfect. They blew a 13-point lead in the first quarter, lost the second quarter by 15 points, by 16 points, trailed by 9 at the half, had to fight back. Outscored the Heat 40-20 in the third quarter. Gave up 36 in the fourth. As they were looking to coast to a victory, they kind of let off the throttle a little bit. Miami got it down to 6 and had a very good Norman Powell three-pointer to cut it to 3. Closed the game out, finished it, got the baskets, did all that. But it got a little dicey. Officially not a clutch game, though. So yeah, we were a little nervous still. Because guess what? Breaking losing streaks are really hard. Breaking losing streaks are really, really hard. And there's always that little bit of doubt when you're on a losing streak. But at the end of the day, the Magic made all the plays they needed to make. At the end of the day, the Magic had the right decisions, made the most of their opportunities, and took home a really nice win. Look, when you've lost 4 in a row, when you're struggling as much as the Magic have struggled, you take any win you can get. That's the truth of it. You take any win you could get. And the Magic will take this one. They will not complain about a win like this. They played the way they need to play. And everybody stepped up. So that leaves us with one thing to do. Let's go through the box score. We'll talk a little bit about how everyone stepped up coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That is where Rocket Money comes in. The personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I started using Rocket Money because I've been trying to get a little bit more of a better handle of my finances. My spreadsheet just isn't cutting it anymore. And even within the first few weeks, it was like, oh, That's where this money's going. Oh, that's how much I'm spending here. That's how much I'm spending on groceries. That's how much I'm spending on going out. That's where my entertainment money's going. That's how much money I'm bringing in. That is the power of just having everything organized. It's really easy to look at, and they have so many cool features that you can add on that you can keep trying to take better control of your finances. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. rocketmoney.com/locked on. As we do after every game, let's go through the box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Miami Heat 133-124. Look, we're talking about a lot of intangible things today. We're talking a lot about how this team figures themselves out, finds their identity, and that is as core to anything else. I said this after the last two games. If the Magic play the way they played against the Cavs in both of those games, they're going to win 6 out of 10 times. They'll be okay. They brought that energy to this game and more. They desperately wanted this win. This felt like a must-win game, and so Orlando treated it like a must-win game. Played with energy and intensity from the beginning. And again, if the Magic played like they played tonight, they're going to win a lot more games this year. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't clean. There are still a lot of things to clean up. The Heat got hot in the first half. The Magic were cold in the second half. They had to kind of figure out that math problem. They had to buckle down on defense. And look, they played one good quarter of defense, maybe one mediocre quarter of defense, and everything else was a bit of a mess. But the Magic were able to kind of find their way and deliver in this key spot. So credit to the Magic all around. Credit to them for getting this done. Everything starts with Paolo Banchero. And I want to talk more about Paolo tomorrow because he deserves some love. He deserves some shine because he is playing really good basketball right now. After a great game Monday against Cleveland, I was critical of him for Saturday's game, critical of him for Thursday's game, but generally he has turned a corner and is playing like Paolo Banchero. We'll talk about Paolo. There's a lot of noise around him too. He very much set the record straight on everything going on between him and Coach Mosley. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about the Tim McMahon thing tomorrow. What I've heard and everything else. But I think Paolo is going to silence that for a little bit with his public statements. Paolo was just really good. Like we've been asking Paolo. I've been asking Paolo to be a leader, to be impactful. And look, the line is simple: 31 points, 11 for 23 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3. So what? 8 for 10 from the foul line. Really, that's fine. 12 rebounds, 4 assists, just 1 turnover, 1 block, and maybe most importantly, plus 27 plus minus. So the Magic not only won his minutes, they dominated them. That's what we've been asking from Paolo. That's literally what the call has been from. That's been my call to Paolo Banchero. That's been my challenge to him. And certainly I thought in Monday's game, he stepped up to the plate. And this game, he definitely stepped up to the plate. Didn't really try to force much. There are a few things that he forced. Still missed a few too many shots at the rim to my liking. Still kind of looking for fouls to bail him out instead of getting to the rim, or getting all the way to the rim and just finishing strong. And I'm being quiet because Paolo's downstairs. But at the end of the day, like this was the dominant showing the Magic need from him, where he is helping pace the team, where when things are hard, they are like, we're going to give the ball to Paolo Banchero, and he's going to make a play for us. And he's going to make the right shot. More than anything else, I loved his fourth quarter. So he had 31 points. He scored 9 points in the fourth quarter on 3 for 5 shooting. Got to the line for 3 or 4 free throws. 3 rebounds. Just really putting his stamp on the game. He made some huge shots to close this game out and made some huge shots to pace the team through this game. And even though he wasn't shooting as well as he has in previous games, just didn't let it bother him. And again, this is what I'm talking about. It's about setting a tone. Just setting a tone for the rest of the team that gives them permission to play free. Because when your best player is not shouting at the refs all the time or is playing with the right energy, everyone else feels it. And so Paolo, if Paolo plays like this, the Magic are going to win a lot, especially if he gets the help that he got. Anthony Black was really the player pacing the team through much of the game. He quieted down in the fourth quarter, but he had a huge third quarter to get to 26 points, 11 for 19 shooting. And you got AB taking as many shots as Paolo, 4 for 7 from three, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. As I always say, no stat is a better indicator of whether the Magic win or lose than Anthony Black's 3-point shooting. Anthony Black made his threes, and that makes this Magic team really, really hard because when he's making threes, he just plays super confidently and super aggressively. And look, he brought the aggression from the start to get the Magic ahead, to pace the Magic through this game. He really, really, really led the charge for Orlando in a way that the Magic need. Like, they need that second scorer right now with Franz out. And AB's been a little inconsistent. He's had this crazy year, but he's been a little inconsistent on that front. And so to have that game from AB, really good stuff. As was, frankly, Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane finished with 23 points, 10 for 16 shooting, 3 for 6 from three. So he got the attempts, got the makes, 1 rebound, 5 assists. Bane really got himself going in the fourth quarter. He had 10 points in the fourth quarter. Again, just making timely shots. Like that's been the bigger issue. I mean, Orlando's gotten scoring. Like, Paolo's gotten his numbers, AB's gotten his numbers, Dez has gotten his numbers. It's been more about, are you hitting the shots when you need to hit the shots? When they're on a run, do you hit the three that turns, that calms everyone down, turns the tide back? In a close game, are you hitting those shots that kind of, I don't want to say bail you out, but are you hitting the shots that decide games? Like, frankly, the shots that decide games. Paolo made those shots in this game. Like, AB hit some big shots. Jalen hit that huge three. That's what you're missing. All starters scored in double figures. I mean, obviously, I think with the way the Magic are constructed right now, that's what they're going to need. Jalen Suggs at 16 points, 6 for 15 shooting, 1 for 7 from three. Still a bit of a struggle. He's still hunting his three a little bit too much. Just continuing to kind of get his groove. So we'll see how long we can last with him. Just kind of being a step slow. The Magic put AB on Norman Powell to have Jalen Suggs be a little bit of a roamer. He's not guarding the best player on the other team quite yet. So that's not super surprising. It's clear Jalen's not all the way back yet, so I don't want to go too crazy. Like, the Magic got what they needed from Jalen Suggs tonight, but obviously they'll continue to need a little bit more. Wendell Carter had 10 points, 4 for 8 shooting, 2 for 5 from three, 5 rebounds. Rough game for Wendell Carter. Magic were +6 in his minutes, so it wasn't like they were terrible with him out there. He was just a step slow defensively, so he committed a lot of fouls. Shot was, he obviously shot well enough. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm surprised he shot 4 for 8. But a rough game for Wendell Carter. Just wasn't able to kind of get his groove defensively with the early fouls. And that opened the door for Jonathan Isaac, who played a lot of the backup center minutes. Again, Jonathan Isaac was hugely impactful. I thought he should have finished the game. I thought he earned the finish. I thought he was the better center in this game. And so that is, again, a place to start for Orlando and a place for them to keep growing and building as they continue to find roles. Tyus Jones had a really nice game. I still get a lot of people who are like, why is Tyus Jones playing? And look, his defense isn't going to be particularly good. He's going to have to keep fighting on defense. But 5 points, 2 for 3, 1 for 1 from three. Nothing to write home about. 9 assists. So he kept the ball moving, kept them organized. I keep telling people this. Tyus Jones is out there because he's an organizer. He is someone that's going to calm this team down. And look, I agree Jace Richardson needs more consistent playing time. But with where the Magic are at right now, with where the Magic are kind of struggling to just kind of get into sets, like whatever defense you lose with Tyus Jones, you got to gain it back offensively, and that's been the struggle, obviously. But in this game, they got it back. In this game, he delivered the stability that this team is looking for, and that's, again, like, all you can ask for from him. 9 assists is a great game. He had 1 turnover. He got his pocket picked by Kasper Siakashonis, which was not a good look. But again, overall, Tyus was a net positive in this game. So I don't think you could be too upset with his play. Tristan Silva finally had a really nice game. 12 points, 5 for 9 shooting, 2 for 5 from three. Made some huge shots, 4 assists, kept the ball moving. Had a great sequence. There's this really good sequence that I really do think defines Magic basketball, where they got a swing to Tristan Silva in the corner for 3. He missed it. Jonathan Isaac dug out the rebound, passed it to De Silva, cutting to the basket, and De Silva got a 2-handed dunk. That is what the Magic are after. That is what they're after. You miss a shot, no worries. Keep in the play. Outwork the other team. Get to the hoop. That's what Magic basketball is. And so, again, like, we don't see a lot of those plays. We don't see a lot of play. We haven't seen a lot of plays the last few weeks where the Magic outworked the other team. Orlando outworked Miami. They're the more physical team. And again, that's why they won. Last guy I want to talk about, though, is Noah Penda. I'm a big Noah Penda fan. I want to make this very, very clear. I'm a big Noah Penda fan. I am really excited about what this kid is going to be. I am super, super interested in how the Magic want to develop him this summer and what their offseason development program is for him. This kid has such a good feel for the game. He finds himself accidentally in the right spots. It doesn't look like he quite knows what he's doing yet, but he finds himself in the right spot and makes plays. Like he is involved in plays because he just has a sense of how to be where he needs to be. Um, but he's not all the way there yet. Penda finished with 3 points on 1 for 6 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 3 rebounds, 2 offensive, a minus 16. Now look, Noah's active, he's around the basket, but he gets himself stuck. He doesn't quite know where he's supposed to be yet. That sense isn't quite there yet. He knows how to make a play, he knows how to be around the ball, but he's still trying to do too much. And really, for the last 2-3 games, 4 games maybe, he has just frankly looked like a rookie. He has frankly looked like a player who, especially with how much the Magic are struggling, just emphasizes the struggles because his finishing around the basket isn't great yet. Again, like he pump fakes and pivot foots his way to open shots, but then just can't finish. And he had a couple of those instances in this game. He will get there. I want to make this clear. He will get there. He is a rookie. He is learning. He's making mistakes. But I do think right now the Magic can't afford those mistakes. And so I think it's maybe time to sit Noah a little bit. Jonathan Isaac had a great game. I think you play Isaac for a little bit, get him going. I think it's time to just to let Penda figure himself out a little bit. And again, we'll see ultimately what the Magic do. The Magic end up shooting 50% from the floor, same percentage as the Heat. They shoot 42.1% from 3, 16 for 38. A lot of that coming in the second half. The second half saw the Magic shoot, if I can pull my box score out here, 11 for 21 from 3. Miami shot 15 for 34 from 3. So Orlando was able to match Miami's three-point shooting after they were trailing big in the first half. Credit to Orlando for climbing back into the game, staying in the game despite the Heat having this crazy shooting game. Simona Fontecchio had 17 of his 23 points in the first half. Made 4 or 5 threes in the first half. He was 6 for 9 for the game. Magic could not track him. Desmond Bane lost him a few times, but Magic really struggled with him. But the Magic stuck with it. And again, that's not what they've been doing over the last few weeks is, the teams put a run on them. They struggle. They will. They don't have the resiliency to fight back. And that's what the Magic were able to do so successfully today. They did not waver. They did not blink. They fought back. And so some good games. I thought Magic did a really good job on Bam Adebayo, but he still finished with 21 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. Norman Powell has 22 points, 23 points for Simone Fontecchio, 13 for Jaime Jaquez, 13 for Drew Smith. And again, so just Orlando still has a lot to clean up, but generally a really, really good game for Orlando. Their defense was energetic. The ball was moving. They had 36 assists on 52 field goals. They took 104 shots. That's because of the turnovers. That's because of the offensive rebounds. Magic got a lot of possessions, and they took advantage of them and got a really much-needed win, obviously. You don't want to lose 5 games in a row. Got a really good win, and obviously the hope now is that they'll be able to carry this forward into Friday's game against Toronto and make up some ground. Again, 6-pointer against Raptors. Make up some ground, even that season series, and give yourself a chance to really set yourself up for the spring, obviously, which is ultimately what we all care about. The Orlando Magic defeat the Miami Heat 133-124. They are back in action again Friday against the Toronto Raptors. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the my on podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As a note to my everydayer subscribers, please message me either on the Discord or ping me in the Discord. I am trying to get you free subscriptions to at least my Substack, free subscriptions to my Patreon, so that you guys can get that as an added benefit of being in the Everydayer Club as well. I'm trying to make sure that you get the value added that you want. That'll be extra. That's not usually part of the Everydayer Club, but that's my enticement to get you to join the Everydayer Club, is you get access to my extra articles. I'll be writing about Jonathan Isaac exclusively. You'll hear from him in on my train ride back to Orlando. That'll be part of the package here on our Everydayer Club. So thank you all for subscribing to that. Thank you for supporting however you can. Remember, with the Everydayer Club, you get access to the ad-free audio feed as well as the Locked On Magic Discord server. For those of you on video, we're going to send you to the first ever 24/7 National NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA game night on Locked On NBA. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to dive a little deeper into Paolo Banchero. What has turned around for him, what has made him successful, and how he silenced the noise, maybe for a little bit, but set the record straight today. We'll get to that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich from the Kaseya Center in Miami. We will see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.